Hello and welcome to Biology Career Insights, the podcast where we talk with experts from the field of biology to gain valuable insights into the careers and explore ways to navigate the job market in this ever-evolving field. I'm your host, Dr. Manish Kumar. Today, we have the pleasure of speaking with Dr. Noelle Ali. Dr. Noelle Ali is currently working as a product manager at Sartorius in Germany. Originally from Hyderabad, India, Noelle pursued her education in biotechnology and went on to complete her PhD in cell biology, specializing in polarityproteins and stem cells from Germany. After her postdoctoral research in muscle stem cells and aging, Noelle transitioned into the industry, starting with a role as a scientific sales manager at OLS Omni Life Sciences, before joining Sartorius in 2022 as a product manager. Noelle, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Manish, for the kind introduction. I would say it's my pleasure to be at BCI and share my experience and insights.
Amazing. So, starting right away, what inspired you to be a scientist and how did you get started in the field?
Okay. To answer you honestly, I never thought of becoming a scientist, so it was never the question. I think I was in 8th standard, I don't know, like 12, 13 years old, something like this. And for me, I always want to be a doctor, a medical doctor. That was my ambition, my goal, my passion, I would say. But of course, like you see now, things did not turn out that way. But still, I wanted to stick to the biology field because, I loved biology. And I guess that was also the reason why I decided, even though I could not pursue medicine, I will stick to this field of biology. And it just started, I did my BTech in biotechnology, then I went on to do the master's, and things started to flow in that direction. I guess it also comes from the fact that you like and connect with the topic, Yeah, I guess I think that's the reason how I became a scientist, if you can call me as a scientist.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, I call you a scientist because, you pursued science for 5-6 years, right? Like you did, you were in the lab, you were doing science, you published some papers. So that's being a scientist, right?
Yeah.
No, so did you plan to do a PhD in BTech, or was it like, you didn't find anything better? Like me, I thought like, okay, PhD is the best option available. So what was your motivation to start your PhD?
Okay. So let me take one step back. So when I came to Germany to pursue my studies, I had this simple goal. I wanted to finish my master's degree 2 years and then just go back to Hyderabad and, work in India. Mm-hmm. But while I was doing my master's thesis, the topic was so interesting. And I think that was a moment where something clicked in my head and said, okay, maybe I can still pursue, more research, go into the research field. And somehow I started to look at the different research topics. And if you can recall, I think that was also the time, 2010, 2013, there's a lot of the buzz around stem cells going on. Mm-hmm. And fortunately for me, I don't know, somehow I just found this cool position on skin stem cells. And I thought, okay, if I want to do something, let me try this. And this is how I think I went into that direction. Yeah. But I know from where your question comes from, because a lot of people, it's something, but particularly in a foreign country, if you don't find something, then you stick to PhD. But fortunately, in my case, I think that was not the reason why I went on to do the PhD. Yeah.
Amazing. So let us know, what made you transition, because you were like already pursuing your postdoc. So how did your transition to, commercial roles happen, and how did you end up being a product manager? Yeah. Perhaps some points on that, yeah.
That's an interesting question. I think the reality stuck me. I was hit by the reality when I was almost in my last phase of PhD. Yeah. I came to do PhD or came into the research field because for the love of it. And I somehow in the course of that, I realized that the scientific community, at least around me, I would say, I mean, it was more focused on publications, grants, and stuff like this. And, I'm not really, I'm not generalizing it, okay? I'm just saying what I felt. And this kind of, put me off a bit. And then I went on to do my postdoc. And that was a time I think my feeling became much more stronger. And I thought, okay, this is not what I want to do. I cannot, keep on doing this because this is not what I thought it to be, the reality. And that was the point where I decided, okay, I will move away from academia. I did not think that I would move into the commercial, the commercial or the business-oriented field of biotech. I was looking for something to work in the industry, not necessarily commercial. But I think this was the one opportunity that came my way, this role of scientific sales manager at OLS, which I took immediately. Because here, I would like to be really honest, if you want to come out of the academia and step into the industry, it's not that easy to do that, yeah? And you have to take every opportunity that you can get. Fortunate are those, I would say, who get something where they feel really happy to do about it. And for me, stepping into this role as scientific sales manager was the step of my commercial career, I have to say, because this really helped me to come out of my shell. Because how a commercial role, what a commercial role requires from you, You need to be this natural communicator. You need to be, this whole full of energy and stuff like this. And I think this really helped me. My scientific sales manager role at OLS was the best decision I ever made. And I have to really, here, I would also like to take the opportunity to thank my mentor. I regard him as my mentor, Dr. Andreas Friese, who works at OLS. So he really helped me, groomed me. And I think that also gave me the confidence to take the next step and move into the role of product manager at Sartorius. So that was my journey, I would say.
Amazing. And there's many points in that journey because, once you start, first step is to figure out that I don't want to be in academics any longer. I want to transition. That is the first step. And then the confusion arises because, there are so many careers available to a PhD, right? Like which a PhD student perhaps is not aware of. And this can be anyways from sales to marketing to product management to consulting to regulatory affairs to, because there are so many departments in an industry. And I think PhDs are valued in each of these departments. So how did you, narrow down and what was your strategy for job hunting? Because that will help a lot of other students, who are at that stage.
Yeah. Of course. I was looking for those job positions where your PhD was valued. Yeah? Mm-hmm. Because you worked so hard for this degree, you have shed your blood and your sweat, whatever you can say, sleepless night. And I wanted a job where it was really required and valued. Then I was looking for a company, not a very big company, but really like a small one where you could start and transition because you're coming from academia, you're coming from a different atmosphere altogether, and then you're moving into the industry. So I was looking for something small like this, with a small team, but a team which is motivated and you can relate yourself with the vision of that company, for example. So this was, I think, in a nutshell, I think if I have to put something and if I have to advise anyone, I would say, please try to find something where you're valued. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Most importantly here, I would also like to emphasize and let people know that they should know what is your value. You need to value yourself. Don't sell yourself cheap.
Mm-hmm. That's a great...
Yeah, don't sell yourself cheap, I would say, yeah.
Amazing. So, can you tell us more about your current role at Sartorius?
Yes. Like you just mentioned, I started to work at Sartorius as a product manager. So I joined last year, the beginning of last year. So in my role as a product manager, as you know, a product manager is called like a spider in the web. Huh? So so basically, I am the spider in the web, trying to connect with the different stakeholders. So this can be the R&D, marketing, sales, application specialist, production, name it. So you are just in the center sitting of the web. You are the CEO of your own product. So that is how I see my role. And I take care of the filtration part of the filtration portfolio at Sartorius along with my colleague. And yeah, that's what I do at Sartorius. And yeah, that's all.
Amazing. I mean, just to, because I'm also writing a book on product management, and I totally disagree that, on this common notion that, a product manager is a CEO of the product. Because, a CEO has a lot of power to make decisions.
Exactly. Okay.
And a product manager, does not practice that power. So I think, to give an ego boost, you can always consider yourself as a CEO of the product, but in reality, you are not the CEO of the product. And this has been my very emphasis, also while writing the book, that, books will tell you all that, all the internet materials will tell you that you are the CEO of the product when it comes to responsibility and accountability. But when it comes to strategy, when it comes to decision making, when it comes to, so many important things, you are not the CEO of the product, right? Because you need to align so many stakeholders. So what's your take on that?
Now, when you said this, it reminds me of a reel that I saw I came across in Instagram. This was an interesting reel. So a guy is asking a product manager, what actually are you doing as your role? So he says, yeah, I'm responsible for the design of the product. And the guy asks, so you are like the product development? He says, no. Then, are you taking care of the marketing? Do you do the actively marketing? And then the product manager say, no, but we also have people for the marketing. So what he wants to say in the end is that there are different roles assigned for all the responsibility, which can more or less are connected to the product manager, but the product manager himself is not doing it. Yeah. But I kind of agree with you that although we say the product manager is the CEO of the product, they don't have the power to execute this. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So I have to say more or less, I can agree with what you are saying. Yeah.
Amazing. And all you give a very great example of the reel. Like, you don't actively do things, but you are somebody, like managing the orchestra, right?
Yes.
Like you see that everything is in tune, aligned with what you have agreed with the stakeholders. So that's a great point. I know that, you are into the product management at Sartorius, like a spider in the web. So, but can you tell like how your role currently impacts the scientific community and the broader public in general?
Okay. It would be too much to say if a role of product manager per se have any impact on the scientific community. I to be honest, I do not see it in that way.
But you are making a product that perhaps is useful for researchers, or that is something that enables other researchers, or it depends on what product you make.
That is correct. But you have to also see in this way. I think what product management does it, to be honest, they see what is the business potential behind any product, isn't it? It is not really for the greater good of the community, if I have to be blunt enough.
No, I mean, this is, I totally disagree, Noelle. Why? Because, just because you're making profit on the product doesn't mean that you are not doing any good. Because
No, I don't mean that way.
You have to deliver a great product, and because the community or because the purchaser values it, that is why they are paying a certain amount. Because there are so many companies or so many people who can produce that product, right?
Absolutely.
So I don't see that, because we tend to always as a scientist, we are trained to see the money as a, as the, what do you say, dark side, as a dark side. So, we have to get out of that mentality, that, just because we are making money over our products, and a product manager's responsible is to enhance sales, to develop a business case, to make the product profitable, doesn't mean that you are not doing the bigger good. Because, there are so many, my take is that there are so many entrepreneurs who are creating so much impact, and in return, the society makes them rich.
No, I don't really. I agree with Manish with you completely, 100%. But I was not coming from that direction. Of course, the role of product manager is a very crucial function in a company. Like you just mentioned, that they have to understand, or let's say they are the brain behind a brain, or whatever you can call the brain and the eye behind a product, which would make an impact in the scientific field, but not as much impact if you compare to the scientists themselves or the product, to the research and development guys. So I was comparing myself to them. So I give more credit to those guys than I would give it to a product manager per se,
That is
where they make an impact.
You can always give credit to her, but I'm just interested in, we cannot say that product managers don't contribute. I think contribute to excellent product development cycle, right? Because you are the one who kind of orchestrate the development, bring the product into market and stuff like that. So I think it's quite an important role. But
Agree.
So just to elaborate more on this, what is the product that you're managing, and what does it do?
So I take care at the moment of Sartorius, the portfolio for virus filters. So basically, if you think in the biomanufacturing process, so virus safety is a very important concept, because in the end, the requirement by the regulatory bodies also says that any product that comes from animal or human origin as a source needs to be free of any contaminants, ensuring the safety and safety for human use. Thereby, virus filter are one of the key components, or let's say key unit operation in the in the downstream processing, and that is what I and along with my colleague take care.
Amazing. I think that's very important, right? Like to to have your product virus free is a very important.
Absolutely, it's an important regulatory requirement. So.
So tell us some interesting stories about the challenges you faced, being a product manager, and how did you overcome them?
I would, for this question, I will also, I think I will start with my journey from the moment I came to Germany, because I think that is very important. I think the very first challenge that I faced here as a student in a foreign country was the language.
Absolutely.
That was a thing. So just imagine, I arrived in Germany and I was attending my first German class. That was my first German class and my first exposure to the language. And I was asked by the teacher, wie heißen Sie? And I was like, what are you asking? I do not understand this, So I think that was the first thing that hit me, that, okay, I am now in a foreign country. Now I need to learn the language and stuff like this. So I think language is still from as many as people that I know, I think the language barrier is the biggest challenge that we face. And I think any person would face in a foreign country, it would be also vice versa.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I think one has to learn how to accept this challenge and overcome this if you want to really make a mark for yourself. That is the one challenge I faced. The second challenge, I think I'm still facing, I would say, somehow. I don't know how it is with the other guys that you have interviewed. It's also about you feeling integrated into the fabric of the society, yeah? There are, of course, there are different courses and stuff you can do, and if you're fortunate enough, your colleagues, your friends, they would also help you in integrating yourself. But in the end, this is, I think, also one of the biggest challenges as a foreigner that you will face, the integration. These things I would not take lightly, because in the end, these things are very important for you to function in your best capacity. Yeah.
Absolutely. No, I totally agree. Yes.
Yeah. So I think this were the two challenges, the main challenges, I would say. But the rest, I think, these are the things that you get or you face in your daily business.
Yeah, point well taken. I think these are like, more of a challenge of any foreigner, coming to another country.
Exactly.
But what are the challenges that you face, say, while transitioning from first role to the second and the second role to the third? And say daily, as a product manager, what are the challenges that you face? Just to highlight to the listeners that if one wants to, transition, what are the challenges they can face? And particularly if somebody is interested in product management roles, what are the daily challenges, that one faces and how you can overcome them?
Yeah. I think the biggest challenge in terms of transition, if someone wants to transition into the commercial or industry, is, I think, getting this opportunity. If you're coming from academia and then moving into the industry, you have to, I think, for at least in my position, in my situation, I was patient enough, I would say, to get this role. But not everyone is patient enough, I would say, or fortunate enough to get it quickly. So you need to be So this is the one challenge that I would say one has to face while transiting, for the transition. The another challenge that I faced, I think, when I was working as scientific sales manager, because this was a commercial role, again, it is also about experiences, and that I was coming from academia. I did not have the experience of a commercial role, not about don't know how to interact with customers, no idea how to do that. But again, I think this also helps if you have a good onboarding, if you have a good mentor to help you around. So that was one challenge I think people could also face. I would say if you are deciding to come into a commercial role, whether it's sales, application specialist, or as a product manager, please be ready to have a say, to speak up, to communicate, because these are dysfunctional roles which require communication and decisions. You have to be good at decision making and good at communicating. If you don't do this, I think one can struggle. So I think communication is very key to be successful in this position. And last but not the least, patience. You need to be patient, because you're going to deal with so many personalities that sometimes you need to keep your ego at the door and then deal with people. So again, this is part of the communication, but yes, these are the important part. Yeah.
Great points. So, Noelle, one of the challenges that I reckon, when you come from academia to say industry, is also like the lack of commercial skills. So how did you overcome them? Because I'm sure you'd have not have those commercial skills, which our industry requires. So how did you go about? Because I remember my days, I was sitting daily on Investopedia, learning financial jargons, reading a lot of annual reports of public companies and stuff like that, to just familiarize you with all the financial jargons or, the commercial jargons. So how did you go about that?
Manish, for me, I think in my case, like I already mentioned to you, having a good onboarding, that really helps. Of course, your inherent skills, you need this inherent skill. You need to have this technical mind. You need to have this communication skills. These are something that you also bring to the table. something that you also bring. I guess while I don't know how it was with you, Manish, but when I was doing my PhD and postdoc, I had to really do a lot of presentation, PowerPoint presentation, go to the conferences. This builds confidence. Public speaking builds confidence. Yeah.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So this, because you're talking in front of hundreds of people, that means you have this ability to communicate also. So I guess this also helped me in my roles. And like I just told you, onboarding, having the right mentor, that would really help you. Yeah. So in my case, I had this, I have to say. Yeah.
Amazing, amazing. So what do you think are the key skills and qualities that are required to be a successful product manager?
Oh, key skills. Look, so if you think about the anatomy of a product manager, so you need to have a head for the business, eye for keen details, nose for a nose to smell for opportunities because you're a product manager. So you have to make sure, you need to know what is going in the market, look for the right opportunity to build. You need to be ambidextrous because you need to be able to multitask. Yeah, you are communicating with several stakeholders. There are several topics that you have to deal in a day. So you need to be ambidextrous in that manner, but also empathetic. Again, because you're dealing with different stakeholders, you have to be good with your communication. And I think more important, even though a product manager is considered as an individual contributor, in the end, if the product manager is not a team player, if you do not have this team spirit, it will not help you. Yeah? So I think this is the important skills that you need to have. Of course, you can also train yourself, reading about what is product management, what are the different responsibilities. I mean, these are also the important part of the onboarding and the training. Yeah.
And what are some of the most exciting developments in your field right now, like in the virus clearance area? What are the exciting developments? And how do you also see the future of, say, biotech product management as such?
Okay. I mean, if you see now, Manish, I would not only talk about the virus clearance because virus clearance is just one part of the bioprocessing. I would say the biotech industry, let's say, or the healthcare industry, like you might have noticed, is moving towards cell and gene therapy. So there is a lot of buzz around it. I do not know how this field is going to develop in the future, because in the end, it's a personalized healthcare therapy, and personalized means also expensive therapy.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So let's see how that is going to work. Maybe it would be suitable for the developed nations, but I think when you think about the developing nations like India or China, for example, I mean, let's just take the example of India. I think the biosimilars market would be a boom there. Yeah. So this is where I see the market diversifying in across different regions.
Wow. So that's a great point. So what advice would you give to biology students who are considering, say, a career in product management? And what are some of the most important things they should keep in mind if they want to transition to product management?
Okay. First of all, I would say, do you want to be a product manager? Do you understand what is the role of a product manager? And I would not ask anyone such a question like, do you think you can do product management? I don't think that is the right question. I think anyone who has these basic skills of communication, a bit of knowledge how the business works, the understanding of the business, who can sense the opportunity, who is able to multitask, I think anyone can become a product manager. The question is, like for any other field, do you feel that you can be? I think that is the question that one should ask themselves. Yeah.
Nice advice. But, like many people already kind of, they are more clear about their goals. They're doing their PhD. So what are the skills that they should focus on during the studies, that it becomes easier for them to kind of transition into a product management role?
Yeah. Manish, if you're coming from a PhD, from an academic role, I think the most, or let's say, we don't think about the business aspect, isn't it? We are more into the technical, the technical part of the process. If you're coming into a product management role, you need to not only bring your technical aspect with you. Of course, the technical skills matters, because you also need to understand what is the pain point of the customer, because the voice of customer in the end builds everything. Yeah, that's the end game. So along with these technical aspects, you also need to bring this business acumen. I do not believe that you cannot be trained. I think you can be trained in this, might not 100%, but I think every human has an inherent quality to understand the business aspect of things. I think this is just, if you think you have this, or you think you can develop this, I would say yes, do this. This will really help you if you are looking into the product management as your future role.
Wow. So, and do you recommend some resources or say some course that helps them to build these skills?
Yes. There are a lot of free courses on product management. I mean, you can. So what I did was, I don't know if you know about this portal EDX. Yeah, so there are a lot of different courses that one can do. So I also did the basic course of product management and project management, because in the end, if you think the project management also more or less becomes a part of product management. So I did those courses there. There are a lot of courses on LinkedIn. Yeah, so please, I would also advise people to scroll through those courses, and yeah. Last but not the least, talk to your peers, network around, and check what you can do. I think that is also an important part that I missed to tell you, that what are the skills that would be important. I think networking is very important.
Wow.
Yeah.
Amazing. So, now this final part of the question, I think this is also very important. As a woman, you face additional hurdles when you compare yourself with, any man, because of the biological clock ticking. So what would be your advice to women in STEM?
Manish, you know what? It's funny when you said about the biological clock ticking. I think this is an inherent clock.
Why I said that? Why? I mean, I'll just give you that context so that you don't misunderstand me. Because I've spoken to many women, and they say that the career peak and their biological clock coincide so much that they have additional hurdle, when compared to men. So how to manage that? And in that context, what would be your advice to women in STEM?
Yeah. I think, Manish, I'm also kind of, struggling to figure out that, to be honest. Yeah. So I do not have a perfect answer here, but I think one needs to figure out what is your priority in the end. I think it's all about prioritization. I'm not saying, and I don't agree, that a woman cannot do both of the things. Absolutely. They can have both of the things. But the question is, I think I came across yesterday, where I was just listening to Michelle Obama on her new book, The Light We Carry. And then she was mentioning, there was a line that she said that you can have it all,
Absolutely.
not at the same time. Yeah?
No, I mean, she's one of the inspiring figures, and I follow her, so I'm aware of the book. So
yes. So I was like, okay, this line makes so much sense to me, that you can have it all, but not at the same time. That also tells you, okay, you need to prioritize what is what. But again, like I said, Manish, it's not that you cannot have both of the things. It's just a matter of the time. And I completely agree and see the struggle of the women in STEM, that sometimes your career peak and your biological clock, they coincide. I completely see this, and I also agree with this, but I do not have a solution to this. I think we just need to figure this out as we move forward. Yeah.
And
Last,
yeah, go ahead.
sorry, Manish. What I want to also say, because I was talking about Michelle Obama's book here, she also mentioned a line or an advice that her father gave her, and it was like, nobody can make you feel bad about yourself if you feel good about yourself. Yeah. So I think in the end,
I totally agree on that. Yeah, yeah.
So please, I would really, really advise everybody that don't be disheartened by the hurdles. It's part of your life. Yeah, that's what makes you what you are. And don't let anyone tell you that you cannot do this. And please don't sell yourself cheap.
Wow. Oh, that's
Value yourself. Value yourself if you want others to value you.
amazing. So, Noelle, tell us about your hobbies now. What are your hobbies?
My hobbies, okay, man, it's like I just mentioned to you, about Michelle Obama, the book. So I really like reading. Yeah, I'm a big fan of. I'm a vivid reader. Not favorite, sorry, avid reader. But I really like to read books which are political thrillers. I don't like love stories and dramas. This is not my forte. I really like political thrillers. I love hiking. So because I live in the southern Germany, Ulm, which is near the Alps region, so it's the lovely spot. So I like hiking with my friends and also spending time with my friends. I think in a country, so when you are away from your home, your friends become your home.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So this is what I really enjoy my time doing. Yeah.
Wow. So, Noel, one more question out of curiosity. Given that India is developing so fast and there's so many opportunities, in India, have you ever thought of moving back to India?
Yes, Manish, I would say this thought have occurred to me. Also, like you said, in the context of how crazily India is growing. Yeah. When I moved to Germany 10 years ago, I'd never imagined that I would miss this big important part of the growth that India is seeing. When I go back to India for vacation, and for example, as an example, I go to a mall and I see these kids, this teenagers and this college going people, and I was like, oh my God, we never had this in our times, it was so crazy. And I felt like I missed this important part from my life. And it's sad that I cannot now connect to that part of India because, you have missed so much already there. So you really don't feel that connected anymore because sometimes I feel I am still in the dark ages and India has grown up so much, Yeah, considering this and also with these amazing opportunities that are coming in India now, not only the IT was always a part of India, but even in the life science and biotech, you can see these big companies venturing there. I think it's anyone who is considering to go back and, really to give back to your country, give back to the society. I think this is the best time that you can do this. And yeah, certainly I am, of course, considering this. Yes.
Wow, that's so amazing because I was for my vacations in India, very recently, and I stayed there working from home for 3 months. And I have very similar, thoughts because I saw the digital payments and things like that.
Oh my God.
Even a sabji wala vendor can, accept digital payments. And I was totally mind blown, with exactly what you were saying, So I could totally resonate with that. So I share the India growth story with you. Definitely, yes.
Yeah, you're correct. When you're talking about the digitalization, yes, I was asked by a rickshaw driver because I did not have enough cash, yeah, and he was asking, oh, do you have? Then just give me what Paytm you can do via Paytm, and I was like, sorry, I don't have a Paytm. you know?
Yeah, because we live in Germany. Yeah, here it's like the bargain is so important, right?
Exactly. And then nothing. No one is doing transaction with bargeld, even with your card. Everybody is so digital there. And that's why I said, I feel I am in the dark ages, you know?
Yeah, and in the UPI technology in India is like way ahead of, I think we are most ahead in terms of digital payments in the world.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes. Absolutely agree with that.
Amazing. So Noel, thank you so much for sharing your insights with us today. It's been pleasure talking to you.
Thank you, Manish, again for the opportunity. It was great talking to you. Yeah, it was something that came from my heart. So yeah, it was really nice. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And to the audience, thank you for tuning to Biology Career Insights. Don't forget to subscribe to our podcast to get the latest episode delivered right to your device. See you next time. Bye-bye. Bye, Noel.
Bye, Manish.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.